The human soldier had always known that this mission was dangerous. He had trained for months, but nothing could have prepared him for the view that met him as his ship approached the planet. It was dark, almost black, with a surface of jagged mountains and swirling clouds of crimson gas. The sensors on the ship were alerting him to strange energy readings, signals of life forms unlike anything humans had encountered. Captain Rylan, though young and underestimated by his peers, felt a thrill he could not explain. Humans were often dismissed as fragile and weak in the interstellar councils, but he had learned that the human mind and spirit could survive in ways others could not imagine. That belief had brought him here. The landing was rough. The planet's gravity was heavier than Earth's, making each step a struggle. Rylan and his team exited the ship cautiously. The air was thick and humid, carrying a faint metallic scent. Towering structures, dark and angular, rose in the distance, piercing the stormy sky. It looked more like a fortress than a city. They moved quietly, keeping to the shadows. Rylan's objective was simple: gather intelligence about the ruling species, the vampire-like aliens known to dominate this system. Legends spoke of their speed, their strength, and their cunning. Few humans had ever returned from a mission near their world, and those who did often spoke of nightmares. Rylan's heart pounded as he advanced. Suddenly a sharp noise rang out, a metallic echo like claws scraping stone. His team froze. Shadows shifted along the walls, moving faster than the eye could follow. Before he could react, a figure leaped from the darkness. Its eyes glowed red, and its movements were both beautiful and terrifying. Rylan's instincts kicked in, but it was too fast. He felt a sharp pain and then darkness. When he awoke, he was no longer on the cold ground of his landing site. He was in a large chamber, high-ceilinged and dark, lit only by faint red lamps. The walls were smooth, carved with strange symbols that pulsed slightly like they were alive. Chains of light hung in the air, but they emitted no sound. He tried to stand, but invisible restraints held him in place. A presence entered the room, and Rylan's eyes focused on the most striking figure he had ever seen. She stood tall, regal, and commanding. Her skin was pale, almost luminous in the dim light. Long dark hair flowed over her shoulders, and her eyes glowed faintly like embers. She wore robes that shimmered like liquid shadow, embroidered with patterns that shifted as she moved. Every movement was precise, deliberate, and filled with authority. "I am Princess Soria," she said, her voice calm but carrying the weight of command. "And you, human, are in my world now." Rylan swallowed hard. He had expected monsters, yes, but not someone so regal, so impossibly commanding. He tried to speak, but his mouth felt dry. I'm Captain Rylan," he managed. "I come in peace. I only wish to learn about your people." The princess tilted her head slightly, regarding him with a mixture of curiosity and amusement. "You are not like the others," she said softly. "Most humans are small, weak, afraid. You carry yourself differently. It is intriguing." Rylan felt a spark of pride, though he knew it was dangerous to show it. "I have survived in difficult situations before. I don't give up easily." Soria's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps that is why you are still alive while your companions are not." She gestured, and he realized he was no longer restrained. The invisible force that had held him in place dissolved. "Walk with me," she said, and without waiting for him, she moved toward a balcony that overlooked a vast city below. The view was breathtaking. The city was alive with movement, though nothing resembled human architecture. Towers spiraled into the sky, their surfaces smooth and dark, reflecting the red clouds above. Strange flying vehicles moved silently between them, leaving trails of light. Rylan felt a mixture of awe and fear. This was a world that had survived and thrived without humans. "You see?" Soria said, noticing his gaze. "Our people have existed for centuries. We do not fear death, we do not fear struggle, and yet, you humans seem to carry a strength I have not encountered before." Rylan took a deep breath. "We humans, we survive because we care, because we fight for each other. We adapt, we endure. That is our strength." The princess's lips curved in a faint, enigmatic smile. "Endurance," she repeated. "Perhaps that is why I have chosen you." Rylan blinked, unsure if he had heard correctly. "Chosen me? For what?" Soria's gaze met his, steady and unwavering. "For a role no human has ever held. You will stand beside me, not as a prisoner, not as a subject, but as my partner." He struggled to understand. "My partner? I don't understand." "Do not worry," she said softly, though her voice carried an undeniable firmness. "The details will come in time. But know this, Captain Rylan, Your courage has impressed me, your humanity has intrigued me. You have survived, when others would have fallen. That alone has earned my respect. Even as he processed her words, a sudden alarm echoed through the city. Red lights flashed across the chamber. Soria's expression shifted, her calm demeanor sharpening into alertness. They approach, she said. The faction that wishes to challenge my rule. They have noticed our guests. Ryland's heart raced. He had barely arrived, and already he was thrust into danger. What can I do? He asked. Soria studied him, then nodded slightly. Follow me, human. Your instincts may yet serve you. Together they moved through hidden corridors, walls pulsing softly with light as if alive. Soldiers in dark armor stood silently along the hallways, bowing their heads as the princess passed. Ryland noticed that they didn't speak, but their presence was imposing. Each step reminded him that he was in a world far beyond human understanding. They reached a large observation room, where holographic maps and symbols glowed faintly in the darkness. Soria gestured, and the images shifted to show the approaching threat. They are faster than expected, she said, tension threading her voice. And they will not hesitate to strike. Ryland examined the images. The enemy forces were massive alien shapes that moved with frightening speed. We need a plan, he said, feeling the rush of adrenaline he always got in combat. Soria turned to him, her expression unreadable. I want you to remain calm. Observe. Learn. And when the moment comes, act. Trust yourself, human, he nodded. It was a strange kind of reassurance coming from a creature so alien and powerful. Somehow, despite the danger, he felt chosen. Suddenly, the chamber doors burst open. Shadowy figures moved swiftly, and Ryland's training kicked in. He drew his weapon, firing at the attackers, but Soria moved faster, her form a blur. She struck with precision, her movements deadly yet graceful, scattering the intruders before they could reach them. Ryland could hardly keep up. Every move she made was fluid, perfect, yet she didn't rely solely on strength. She observed, predicted, and adapted. He realized in that moment that she saw something in him. Potential. When the room was finally quiet, Soria turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. You have done well, she said. Not many humans could have kept pace with me even for a moment. Ryland lowered his weapon, breathing heavily. I did what I could. Soria smiled, a rare and fleeting expression. Then, in a voice that echoed through the chamber with surprising warmth, she declared, This human is my husband. The words stunned Ryland. Shock and confusion flooded him. Around the room, soldiers froze. He looked at the princess, uncertain if she was serious. Her gaze met his, unwavering. He has shown courage, intelligence, and endurance, qualities that my people respect. And he is human. That in itself makes him extraordinary. Ryland could hardly speak. I don't know what to say. You need not say anything now, she replied softly. But know this, human. Your life is no longer solely your own. You are part of something larger, something greater, and in time, you will understand why I have chosen you. As the alarm faded and the city's lights returned to their steady pulse, Ryland felt a mixture of fear, awe, and something else, something he had never felt before. Responsibility, purpose, and, strangely, hope. For the first time in his life, he realized that being human in a galaxy that doubted humanity could be a gift, a power beyond strength or speed. Here, in the presence of the alien vampire princess, he had a chance to show the universe what a human could do. And for the first time, he felt truly alive. Ryland could hardly sleep that night. His mind raced with the events of the day, the sudden capture, the mysterious city, the alien princess, and the unbelievable declaration that he was her husband. The room provided for him was surprisingly comfortable, yet every shadow seemed to move and every sound made him tense. He had faced battles before, but this was different. In the morning, Soria appeared at the doorway. She did not knock or announce herself. Her presence was quiet but commanding. Rise, human, she said. The city awaits, and there is much you must learn. Ryland struggled to find words. Learn about what? About us, she replied simply. And about yourself. If you are to survive here, you must understand our ways, our rules, and why your kind is unusual yet remarkable. He followed her silently through the winding corridors of the palace. The walls seemed to shift subtly as they walked, dark stone turning to smooth glass-like surfaces and back again, Servants, soldiers, and advisors bowed deeply as they passed, their eyes filled with suspicion and curiosity. Rylan felt their judgment. Most had never seen a human up close, and even fewer had been in the presence of one so close to their princess. They arrived in a large hall filled with alien artifacts and holographic displays. Soria gestured for him to observe. "These are the histories of my people," she said. "We have existed for centuries, longer than your human records can measure. We survive because we are strong, precise, and patient, but strength alone is not enough. We value cunning, strategy, and loyalty." Rylan nodded slowly. "I understand. You may think you are different, small, and fragile compared to my people," she continued, "but it is your humanity that fascinates me. Your kind endures against all odds. You adapt, you feel, you hope, and you fight for one another. That is a strength that cannot be measured by muscle or speed." He swallowed, feeling both pride and doubt. He had never considered that humanity itself could be a weapon. Their conversation was interrupted by a group of advisors who entered the hall. They were tall, pale, and elegant, each wearing robes denoting their rank. Their expressions were sharp and their eyes carried suspicion. "Princess Soria," one of them said, his voice cold and precise. "Why have you brought this human into our palace? Does he not understand that humans are inferior and untrustworthy?" Soria's gaze was steady, unflinching. "He is not like the others. He carries the qualities we respect. And he is my husband." A murmur ran through the group. The advisors exchanged glances, some shocked, others skeptical. One of them stepped forward, his tone sharp. "A human as your husband? Do you not see the danger? The disgrace?" Soria's voice was calm, yet carried authority that brooked no argument. "Do not question my judgment. I have seen his courage. I have observed his intelligence. And he has survived where many of my enemies would have struck him down. That is more than enough reason for my choice." Rylan felt the weight of her words. He was still new to this world, yet already he was expected to navigate its politics and dangers. The advisors left reluctantly, whispering among themselves. Rylan turned to Soria. I don't know if I can do this. I'm just a human. I don't belong here." Soria's expression softened. "You may feel small, but humans have something we lack. You think in ways we do not. You feel in ways we do not. That is why you survive. You have potential, Rylan. You must learn to trust it." She led him to a training chamber unlike anything he had ever seen. The floor was smooth and unbroken, but energy fields pulsed along the walls. Soria handed him a strange weapon, a staff-like device with glowing runes. "This is for your training," she said. "Do not be afraid. You will learn to defend yourself, to survive, and to think in ways that will surprise even my people." Rylan gripped the weapon cautiously. He had fought with guns, knives, and even hand-to-hand combat, but this was different. It seemed to respond to thought as much as movement. Soria demonstrated first, moving with such speed and precision that Rylan could barely follow her. She struck the floating targets with grace and power, then turned to him. "Your turn," she said. "Trust yourself. Humans have instincts that can rival our strength." The first attempts were clumsy. Rylan stumbled, swung too wide, and missed the targets entirely. He felt frustration building, but Soria did not scold him. She only observed, correcting his stance and showing him small adjustments. Focus, observe, adapt. Hours passed. Sweat ran down his face, but slowly he improved. The targets moved faster, yet his reactions became sharper. His mind began to anticipate the weapon's response, to predict movement before it happened. Soria's expression showed the faintest trace of approval. By the end of the day, Rylan was exhausted but exhilarated. I think I understand now," he said. Soria nodded. "Good, you will need this skill. Soon we may face threats that require not just strength, but cleverness, courage, and the ability to think like a human in ways my people cannot." Later, as the sun, or what passed for a sun on this planet, set, the city below the palace glowed with a strange red light. Rylan watched from a balcony, thinking about how alien this world was, yet how alive it felt. It was a city built on centuries of power and survival, yet it was vulnerable, and he realized that despite being small, human, and untested, he could make a difference here. Soria appeared beside him silently. "Do you understand now?" she asked softly. "You are not just a guest or a prisoner. You are a partner. My people may resist it, but they will learn to respect it, and you will learn to respect yourself." Rylan nodded, feeling the first real sense of purpose he had in months. "I want to help. I want to survive. I want to..." Live up to your trust. Her smile was faint but warm. Then you will. And soon you will see that humans can be more than just survivors. You can be leaders, strategists, and in your own way, warriors. Before he could respond, an urgent alert sounded. A holographic display lit up in front of them, showing the movements of alien ships far beyond the city. Our enemies approach, Soria said, her eyes narrowing. They are testing us. They want to see if my choice was foolish. Rylan felt a surge of adrenaline. He had faced enemies before, but these were unlike any he had imagined. Yet for the first time, he did not feel fear. He felt readiness. Soria continued, I will fight beside you. But remember, humans think differently. Use that. Trust your instincts, observe, adapt. That is how you will survive. Hours later, Rylan found himself in the control chamber with Soria and her advisors. The enemy forces were approaching, faster and larger than expected. The advisors argued about strategy, but Rylan noticed gaps, weaknesses in their assumptions that none of the aliens seemed to see. He spoke up cautiously. If we position our forces here and use the city's defenses to channel their movements, we can slow them down and gain the upper hand. It may not be conventional, but it could work. Soria's eyes lit up faintly. Yes, that is what I mean. You see in ways we cannot. That is why I chose you. Rylan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. For the first time, he realized that being human was not a weakness. It was an advantage. His courage, his ability to adapt, and his perspective, those were weapons that even centuries of alien experience could not counter. The sun had fully set, and the city's red glow illuminated their faces as they prepared for what was coming. Rylan gripped his weapon tightly, feeling a mixture of fear, excitement, and determination. He did not yet understand all the rules of this world, but he understood one truth. If humans could survive this, if he could survive this, then humanity's strength was real. And it would be recognized even here in a world that had doubted him. Soria placed a hand on his shoulder. Rest now, human. Tomorrow you will face your first true challenge, and when that moment comes, remember what I have taught you. Trust yourself. Trust your courage. And remember that you are not alone. Rylan nodded. He felt a strange calm wash over him. He had been terrified when he first arrived, unsure of what awaited him in this alien palace. But now he felt something he had never felt before, a sense of belonging, of purpose. He was no longer just a human in a foreign world. He was a partner, a fighter, and someone who might just prove that humanity could stand among the stars. And with that thought, he closed his eyes, ready for whatever tomorrow would bring. The city was quiet that night, but the silence was deceptive. From high above, enemy ships approached, moving like shadows over the red-lit towers. Captain Rylan stood on the balcony of the palace with Princess Soria beside him. The human had never seen such an army, not even in the harshest of Earth's battlefields. The ships were fast, sleek, and deadly, their formations precise as if they had been trained for centuries. Soria's eyes were sharp, scanning the approaching fleet. They test us, she said quietly. They doubt the human's place beside me. Rylan's heart pounded, but he felt no fear, only focus. Then let's show them that humans are not so easily underestimated, he said. Soria glanced at him, her faint smile approving. Good, remember what I taught you. Observe, adapt, and trust yourself. The palace erupted into activity. Soldiers took their positions along the walls, energy cannons glowing faintly in anticipation. Soria moved like a shadow among them, issuing orders that were followed without question. Rylan stayed close, watching, learning, and noticing things the seasoned advisors overlooked. He saw patterns in the enemy's approach, gaps in their formations, weaknesses that only someone thinking differently might spot. Captain, one of the advisors said sharply, do you truly believe your suggestions will matter? This is war we have fought for centuries. Your human logic? Soria cut him off, her voice sharp as steel. You will listen. Humans see differently. That is why I chose him. He may surprise you. Rylan ignored the nerves tightening in his chest. He took a deep breath and issued his plan. If we use the city's defense towers to create a funnel, we can control their approach. Their ships are fast but predictable. I suggest splitting the forces. Some will hold the flanks while others push them toward the central gates where our main defenses will strike. Timing will be critical, but it can work. The advisors hesitated, skeptical, but Soria's eyes glimmered with approval. We will follow his lead, she said. Prepare the defenses as he suggests. Hours passed, and the enemy ships drew closer. Rylan moved among the soldiers, giving instructions, correcting positions, and coordinating with Soria. He felt alive, more alive than he had in any battle on Earth. His human instincts, creativity, quick thinking, and courage were now weapons. The first wave arrived with terrifying speed. Red beams of energy cut through the night sky, striking towers and vehicles. The city shook and alarms blared, but Rylan stayed calm. He had anticipated their movements. With careful timing, the defenders funneled the ships exactly as he had suggested. Enemy forces collided with traps, energy barriers, and strategically placed artillery. Soria fought beside him in the thick of it, moving with grace and deadly precision. Her speed was unmatched, her strikes lethal, yet she trusted him to coordinate the human-style strategy that was now guiding the battle. Together, they formed a strange but effective partnership, her raw power and his human ingenuity. The enemy adapted quickly, changing formations, but Rylan was already thinking ahead. He directed units to counter, using diversion tactics that none of the advisors would have attempted. Every successful move filled him with confidence, but he did not let pride blind him. He knew the battle was far from over. At one point, a squad of enemy soldiers managed to breach the outer walls. Rylan and Soria rushed to confront them. He fired his weapon with precision, surprising the aliens with tactics they had never encountered. Soria struck beside him, each motion fluid, a deadly dance that scattered their enemies. "You are learning fast," she said, her voice calm amid the chaos. "I have to," he replied, barely pausing to aim. "This is our city. We can't let them win." Hours passed in a blur. The city shook, towers toppled, and the night sky was filled with explosions and energy beams. But the defenders held their ground. Rylan's plan worked better than he had imagined. He moved like a shadow through the chaos, spotting weaknesses, issuing orders, and keeping the soldiers focused. Finally, the enemy began to falter. Their formations broke apart, their ships collided, and the remaining attackers retreated. The city was battered but still standing. Rylan stood on the balcony, breathing heavily, watching the retreating fleet. Soria joined him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You did well, human," she said, her voice filled with rare warmth. "Your mind, your courage. It saved us." Rylan shook his head, feeling a mix of exhaustion and disbelief. I just used what humans do. Observe, adapt, survive." Soria's eyes gleamed. "And that is exactly why you are extraordinary. You are human, and you have proven that even in a world far from Earth, humanity can stand among the stars." As dawn broke, the city slowly returned to normal. Soldiers repaired towers. Energy fields were restored, and advisors whispered in hushed tones about the human who had turned the tide of battle. Rylan walked beside Soria through the palace, still trying to process everything. "You were brilliant," Soria said, "but this was only the first test. The galaxy is vast, and there are those who will not accept humanity's place among the stars so easily. You must be ready." Rylan nodded. He had faced danger before, but nothing like this. He realized that surviving was not enough. To thrive here, he would need to think, plan, and act in ways no human had before, and he would have to do it beside Soria, the princess who had declared him her husband in front of all her people. That night, the palace held a celebration, not for the human himself, but for the victory, and for the surprising role he had played. The citizens of the city looked upon him with a mixture of awe and suspicion. Some whispered that the princess had chosen unwisely, but others, those who had seen his actions, began to see a new possibility. Humans were not weak. They could be clever, brave, and even leaders. Rylan found himself standing quietly near a balcony, watching the red sky fade into night. Soria joined him, silent at first. "You handled yourself well," she said finally. "Do you see now? Humans can survive where others fail, and sometimes they can even lead." He looked at her, understanding dawning. "I think I do. It's different here. I'm human, yes, but maybe that's exactly why I can make a difference." Soria nodded. "It is, and there will be more challenges, more enemies, more tests. But you are ready, human. You have learned something my people often forget. Courage, adaptability, and clever thinking are just as important as strength." The human felt a surge of pride. For the first time, he truly understood his value. Not just as a soldier, not just as a human, but as someone who could change the course of events in a world that had never known humans as equals. As the city rested, Rylan allowed himself a moment of reflection. He had been terrified when he first arrived, unsure of his place. Now he felt a strange sense of belonging. He was still human, still far from home, but he had proven that humanity had a place even in the most alien of worlds. Sorya's hand rested lightly on his shoulder. Rest tonight, Captain. Tomorrow we will continue to build. We will strengthen our city, our defenses, and our alliances, and the galaxy will learn that humans are not to be underestimated. Rylan nodded. He did not yet understand all the ways he would need to grow, or the challenges that lay ahead, but he knew one thing clearly. Humans had survived on Earth for millennia because they adapted, fought, and never gave up. And here, in a world of powerful aliens and unimaginable technology, that same spirit had saved a city, earned respect, and changed the future. And for the first time, he felt something stronger than survival. He felt hope. The night passed with the city calm for the first time in hours. Soldiers patrolled the walls, citizens whispered of the battle, and advisors considered the human who had changed everything. Rylan slept in his quarters, exhausted but ready. When dawn came, the human soldier would stand once more, not just as a survivor, but as a partner to a princess, a defender of a city, and a symbol that humanity could stand proud, even among the stars. And somewhere deep within, he knew the next challenge would be even greater. The city had survived the first test, but there was no time for celebration. Captain Rylan stood on the balcony with Princess Sorya, looking out over the red-lit skyline. The enemy forces had retreated for now, but their presence lingered like a shadow. Sorya's eyes were sharp, scanning for signs of movement. "Do you see now, human?" she asked quietly. "Our enemies will not give up so easily. But you have changed something today." "My people have seen your worth." Rylan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He had survived battles before, but this was different. Here in this alien world, his actions had not just saved lives, they had altered the course of history. "Tomorrow," Sorya continued, "we begin the work of rebuilding, strengthening our defenses, and preparing for what comes next. You must stand beside me, not just as my partner, but as a strategist, a leader, and a symbol of humanity's potential." Rylan swallowed hard, feeling the enormity of her words. "I will do my best," he said. "I want to help." "I want to make a difference," Sorya smiled faintly. "Then you are ready. But remember, leadership is not just about strength or strategy. It is about earning respect, understanding your allies, and showing courage when it matters most." The following days were a whirlwind of activity. Rylan learned to navigate the palace, interact with the advisors, and understand the complex politics of the alien world. Every day brought new lessons. He learned the rituals of Sorya's people, their systems of communication, and their methods of governance. He discovered that strength alone did not rule this world. Intelligence, adaptability, and courage were equally, if not more, important. Rylan also trained alongside Sorya. The princess pushed him harder than anyone had ever done, testing his reflexes, his strategy, and his ability to think under pressure. He struggled at first, but each day he improved, earning the quiet respect of those who had doubted him. Soldiers whispered about the human who could anticipate movements and devise plans that even centuries of alien experience had not considered. One morning, as they walked through the palace gardens, Sorya spoke softly. "You have come far in a short time, Rylan. But there is something more you must understand. Your place here is not just to survive or fight. You must help unite my people. There are factions who resist change, who doubt humanity. You must show them that humans can contribute, that we are more than you imagine." Rylan nodded, thinking about the battles, the strategies, and the trust Sorya had placed in him. "I understand," he said. "I will do whatever it takes to earn their respect." As they spoke, a messenger arrived with urgent news. A group of alien leaders from neighboring territories had arrived at the city gates seeking an audience. Their ships were large and imposing, and the rumors said they did not welcome humans in positions of influence. Rylan felt a surge of nerves. Diplomacy was a battlefield of its own, one he had little experience with. But he knew that Sorya trusted him and he would not fail her. The meeting took place in a grand hall filled with light that shimmered off the alien architecture. The leaders stood tall, their expressions stern, their eyes wary. Rylan observed quietly, noting their reactions, their subtle gestures. and the tension in the room, Soria began the discussion with her usual authority, welcoming the leaders and explaining the recent events. She praised the efforts of the city's defenders, including a subtle but clear acknowledgement of Ryland's role. A murmur ran through the room as the leaders glanced at him, some skeptical, others intrigued. One of the leaders, a tall alien with sharp features, stepped forward. "Princess, we have heard rumors of a human in your council. How can we trust that a being so fragile can contribute to the safety of your people?" Ryland felt every eye turned toward him. His pulse quickened, but he stepped forward confidently. "I may be human," he said, "and yes, I am different from your kind. But I have fought alongside your people, planned strategies that saved the city, and earned the trust of those who doubted me. My actions prove that courage, intelligence, and adaptability are not limited by species." The room fell silent. The leaders exchanged glances, some frowning, others intrigued by the calm confidence in his voice. Soria's eyes glimmered. "He speaks the truth," she said. "Humans have qualities that my people sometimes overlook. Captain Ryland has proven that those qualities matter. And they will matter again, in the battles to come." One by one, the leaders began to nod. They asked questions, tested his knowledge, and even attempted to challenge him. But Ryland remained calm, responding with clarity and insight. Slowly, respect replaced doubt in their eyes. By the end of the meeting, the alien leaders had agreed to collaborate, recognizing that the human had value, not just as a partner to the princess, but as a strategist and advisor in his own right. After the meeting, Soria walked beside him through the palace corridors. "You see, human," she said softly, "your actions speak louder than words. You have not only saved the city, but you have also earned respect. You are changing perceptions not just through battle but through diplomacy, courage, and intelligence." Ryland smiled faintly, feeling a mixture of pride and relief. "I never imagined I could do something like this in a world so different from my own." "You can," Soria said, her gaze steady. "Humans have the ability to adapt, to survive, and to lead. That is why I chose you. That is why I believe in you." The following weeks were filled with rebuilding and preparation. Ryland worked alongside Soria, strengthening defenses, organizing patrols, and training soldiers. He learned quickly that leadership was not just about giving orders. It was about listening, observing, and inspiring others to act with courage and conviction. One evening, as they watched the red sun dip below the horizon, Soria turned to him. "You have grown, human. You have faced danger, earned respect, and proven that your species has worth among the stars. And yet there is still more to do. The galaxy is vast, and there are those who will continue to doubt humanity. You must be ready to show them our strength, not just in battle, but in leadership, courage, and vision." Ryland nodded, understanding the weight of her words. "I am ready," he said firmly. "I will do whatever it takes to protect this city, your people, and humanity's place here." Soria's smile was faint but genuine. "Then we move forward together." As the months passed, Ryland continued to prove himself. He led scouting missions to neighboring territories, negotiated alliances, and trained new recruits. The citizens of the city began to see humans in a new light. No longer were they considered weak or inferior. Ryland's courage, intelligence, and perseverance had changed the perception of an entire civilization. The princess watched him with quiet pride. Her choice had been questioned by many, but time and actions had proven that she had been right. The human had not only survived in her world, he had thrived, leading in ways that were unexpected yet highly effective. One day, as they walked through the city's central plaza, citizens gathered to watch them. Soldiers, nobles, and civilians alike bowed as they passed, showing respect not only to the princess but to the human who had earned their admiration. Children pointed at him with wide eyes, inspired by the human who had fought and led beside their ruler. Ryland looked at the crowd, feeling a deep sense of purpose. He realized that humanity's greatest strength was not in weapons or technology alone, but in courage, ingenuity, and the ability to inspire others. Here, in a world far from Earth, those qualities had made a difference that could last for generations. Soria's voice brought him back to the present. "Do you see, Ryland? Your actions have changed the future. Your species has a place among the stars. You have not only survived, you have led, inspired, and proven that humanity matters." He nodded, a sense of peace settling over him. "I understand now. And I will continue to do so every day, not just for you, not just for this city, but for all humans who may follow in our steps." The princess reached for his hand, a rare gesture of warmth and connection. "Then we move forward together, human. As partners, as leaders, and as symbols that courage and intelligence can come from any corner of the galaxy." Rylan squeezed her hand, feeling the weight of responsibility and the pride of accomplishment. He had come to this world uncertain, afraid, and untested. Now he stood as a warrior, a leader, and a symbol of humanity's potential. The galaxy had doubted humans, but here in this alien world, he had proven that they could stand proud, adapt, and inspire even the most ancient and powerful civilizations. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting its crimson light across the city, Rylan and Soria stood together on the balcony. The city below buzzed with life, the citizens busy with work, training, and rebuilding. The humans and aliens alike had found common ground, respect, and understanding. And for the first time in his life, Rylan felt truly at home, not just among aliens, not just beside the princess, but as a human who had proven that courage, intelligence, and adaptability were gifts that could change the world. He looked at Soria and she smiled. "This is only the beginning," she said. Rylan nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "Then we face the future." And so, the human who had once been underestimated, feared, and doubted stood proudly beside the alien vampire princess. He was her husband, her partner, and a symbol of a species that could survive, thrive, and lead even in the most alien of worlds. Together they had not only defend